am excited for my conversation today. We are going to talk to a woman who is a serial entrepreneur. She's a mom, she's a podcaster. Like, I feel some type of connection here, right? There's something here. So Monica Allen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to have you here. So I don't even remember how we through it. No, not Instagram. That's usually my story. LinkedIn it was, right, Emily? Yep. So we met through LinkedIn, just some post interactions. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to chat with her. So tell me a little bit more, Monica, just sort of about the why in what you're doing from like an entrepreneurial business, because you've got multiple businesses. So like, tell me about your why.
Okay. So with our first business, the why is really about passion. Everybody has something that they're into. So with Zeus's Closet, whether it's your school, your organization, your church, your family, everybody's into something. They're passionate about it. They want people to know their story. And so we help people do that by putting logos on their shirts, artwork on their jerseys and t-shirts and jackets. So a variety of things. And then at some point, we started our business years ago, but I had a side passion or side hustle of interior design. And that's just something that I've always enjoyed. I've always loved homes. And I really, even my dorm room when I was in college, like everything matched. I had throw pillows. I had a room was hooked up. So I've always been into interior design, and I would have friends ask me like, hey, can you help me with my house? And I'm like, sure. So I started taking classes, and that became my side hustle. So both of those are, were my whys for those two businesses.
Okay. Now, you've been in this game for a while, right? Like, how long have you been full-time entrepreneur? Like, get hard in this journey.
Yes, 2005. So I celebrated 15 years of leaving my full-time job, June 14th or June 15th of 2005. So it's been a minute.
Oh my goodness. So tell me a little bit, because the thing that people are always excited about or want to hear about is, tell me about that moment. Like, what happened? Like, when you left your job, like what were the emotions? What was the circumstance, and what happened? Talk about that a little bit.
Or so, whenever you have a side project or side hustle, you're trying to juggle it all, right? You are working full time, and I literally would work from 7 a.m. until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'm working my full-time job from about 7:30 until I'm done for the day. And then I would go to our business. We had a small office space. My husband was a graphic designer, and he was actually a graphic designer for Tyler Perry, who was not the at the time. He was a guy doing plays, and that's about all my husband knew. And so Tyler was nice enough, though, to give us a 12-by-8 office in his space for a lower discount, on his graphic design hourly rate.
Oh, wow.
So at this little office space, we set up the equipment we needed, and we grew our business out of there for a couple of years. And so I would just go from one office to another office, working and getting it all done. And, exhaustion. I was just tired. And I remember one night I'm in tears, and my husband's like, just quit. We'll figure it out. Just quit. And I'm not like that, though. I'm a planner. I like to have all my I's dotted, T's crossed. I wanted it to be right. And so the emotions, again, just being really tired of trying to juggle both things. And when you're in that situation, you have your passion here, but you have what's paying the bills here. And so you're torn. I would literally work on our business during lunch breaks and just really wanted to give my all to my business because I knew it could be successful. I knew we would do well. But it's just like, how can I do this in a smart way? And so we planned it out. We bought a new house so we could put our business in our basement because Tyler was actually moving to a new studio. And so we wanted to build out our own business. And he was a great inspiration for that. Our first office space was actually like the same colors of his office.
Oh, wow.
Because we loved it so much. And it was just really a great experience. But I had a great manager at my position. She was so supportive, so wonderful. I still think of her to this day. Just a wonderful person. And it was hard, but it was time. And so that was the main thing. I was very excited. I actually did a podcast about my reading directly from my journal that I wrote in the day before my last day. And it was because you don't know what to expect on the other side. But it was also a relief, because then I knew that next day I could wake up and focus on my business 110%.
And, I think you said something that was important in there. So while you talked about sort of I'm going to my business, or I'm going to my job full time, then coming and working like crazy, part of that moment is like, okay, I knew this can be successful. Like, we've got something started here. I know it's going to be success. It's time. Like, that factor of, I know it's going to be successful. Like, that's one of the things that I personally think hold a lot of people back. It's like I have to see every single thing like the exact way it's supposed to be. And sort of this absence of knowing that, okay, like, I've laid the groundwork. Success is not optional. It's going to happen.
And it's going to be difficult, though. I mean, I can't tell you that this has been a smooth road by any means, but has it been worth it? For sure.
I love it. Now, you all have little ones now.
Yes.
You didn't have those little ones, though, before, right? Tell me a little bit about how any change in just your entrepreneurial journey since your little ones came along. And how old are they now again?
So I have a daughter who's 10. Her name's Imana. And I have a son who's 6. His name is Legend. And that was a whole new challenge. You deal with your business challenges, but once you bring kids into the mix, it's a whole new thing. And my husband and I, we went into having kids in such an optimistic way, as you should, right? They're beautiful, they're loving, they're sweet, they smell good most of the time. And so we just thought, okay, we can do this. Our daughter, we were like, we'll just take her to the office and we'll work, and she'll stay in her pack and play, and all will go great until, down the road, we'll put her in preschool. And it just didn't go that way. I didn't want to put her in preschool right away. And so for about 6 months, she was with us all the time, but it was tough. I mean, I was nursing and trying to juggle the work, and it was really hard. And my husband, he didn't mean this in an offensive way, even though at the time I felt offended, but I understand it now from his perspective. He was like, you have mommy brain. And because when you have a child, and especially if they're literally attached to you, you have that on your mind quite a bit. And so that was just a huge part. And then honestly, adding the second one was not as difficult, because I was over the whole emotional part of dropping them off at preschool. I mean, I still cried that day too, but it was just different than that first one, dropping her off. So yeah, it was definitely, it definitely introduced a new challenge. Let's just say.
It's funny that you say when the second one came, yeah, it was a little bit easier. Just like a side mommy note, because they're often, so you have 2, I have 3. We had to talk about that. They're often, parents with single children who, they can have more children. They just choose to have a single child. We're kind of like, oh, I can never, like, I can't do all that. Like, one is driving me crazy. Trust me. Just when you add another into the mix, it'll be okay. Like,
they entertain each other, which like right now during this, if my daughter was the only child, she would literally probably be attached to me right now. But she and her brother entertain each other, and they challenge each other. Do they argue? Yes, because they're both very strong-willed. But it's fun, and they entertain each other.
Yeah, I can't, oh my gosh. I don't know what I would do, like, if they did not play with each other. So I'm with you 1000%. So tell me a little bit about, and one of the things I do want to tap into is your children's, your entrepreneurial endeavors and their effect on your kids.
Mm.
So what do you think you've seen there? Like, I just get a warm and fuzzy even thinking about that, because we already know just, I love it. So tell me.
So my kids are both very creative. One is extremely creative. My husband's an artist. He was an artist starting in 4th grade. His mother saw that. He went to a magnet school for art. I was the business major. So my son tends to be a bit more analytical, but still very creative as well. And so interestingly enough, I never hear the two of them really talk about working for someone. They're often more like, well, when I start my business, or when I do this, or when I do that. Right now, they are working on their passion project, which is a movie. They want to be on Netflix. And so they have, they convinced us to buy them a green screen. And they have created a movie of 2 kids who run off and they have this adventure, and it's quite fascinating. So they are creative people, and I feel like because my husband and I, we love what we do talk about business around them. It just comes up automatically. Even when we try to shut it down, we're like, okay, we're going to go out to dinner and we're not going to talk about business. Of course, now we're not really going out to dinner, but before, we're not going to really talk about business. We're going to just enjoy, it always comes back up.
It never happens, yeah.
They hear the good and the bad. We don't try to necessarily, we don't know every detail, but they know the money issues. They know or I'll say cash flow issues. They hear the frustration sometimes with dealing with customer issues, or, trying to figure out the different problems that may pop up in your business. So they get to hear all of the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I regardless, they don't seem to really want to do anything but own their own business someday, whatever that may be. And so I'd like to see that.
Yeah, no, I am with you. There is something about exposing children, I think, to that world of opportunity, because they will get plenty of go get a good job and get a great education. Like, that's just, it's going to happen. It's just societal. But like exposing him to that, hey, there is other way. I'm the same with you. Like, my kids are always talking. I forgot what the latest thing was that they were going to create, like the latest business that they were going to do to sell to get money. Like, and even now they have that concept of, okay, what are we going to do to get money? Like, it's not always come find mom and dad, because, well, now dad will be like, oh, okay, how much do you need? But mom will be like, so how can you get that money? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, I love that for children, like giving them that open space and foundation. I love it.
Yeah, my kids' challenge right now, it's more academic, but my son came to me a couple of weeks ago. He's been harassing me about getting some Ben 10 figurines or something. And I'm like, your birthday was just in June. You should have asked for it then, or you can wait maybe till Christmas. And he's just like, no, but I really want it. And so, I've told them I'm trying to teach them geography. And so I said, well, you know what? If you can tell me, if you can fill out a state map, study your states, fill out a state map, you can earn $1 per state that you get correct. And my daughter is all about it. She's on it. She's like studying, she's practicing. He's like somewhere off playing the game. So, but you know, the thing is you have to kind of earn it. I want to see that you really want this. It's easy for me to just give it to you, but that's not like how life works, you know?
Right, right. I love it. I love it. So tell me, on your path here, what has been like looking at your whole 15-year journey?
Yes.
What has been maybe the biggest challenge for you so far?
Biggest challenge, I would say, you know, definitely adding kids to the mix. But prior to that, and even now, you know, cash flow is really a challenge. Seasonal business, because we do a lot of things with fraternities and sororities. We, you know, during from September to May, we are jamming typically. This year's been a little different, but summers can tend to be pretty slow for us. And so we were in this cycle of just like, okay, summers, we got to push through and get by. And so a lot of times during the summer, we take on debt to make sure we could keep our team on. And then during the other months when we're busy, we're paying off that debt, but it just never seemed to always work out where we paid it all off. So cash flow has been a challenge from day one. There has been times when Ethan and I did not get a paycheck. We literally would just try to make sure we covered our bills. And, you know, that can be stressful. And I deal with the finances in our business. So that could be very stressful for me. And us both being in the same business, you know, there's no, outside of, you know, design projects I may work on, there's really no additional income coming in. You know, we're both in this together. We're both rowing down this stream together. And so that I would say has been the biggest challenge for us. And then I think too, you know, working with your spouse is a challenge.
Yes.
We have come to, I mean, we're definitely in a great place now where we both understand this is your lane, and sometimes we cross over depending on what help is needed. But it was, in the beginning, it was a little bit tough because we both are so strong-willed. That, you know, very opinionated. Usually we both think we're right, you know? So that type of thing. It's been a journey, but it's been a good one. I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, you know, when you mentioned the spouse thing, and I think we had talked about this before. So my husband and I don't work in the same business. We have separate businesses. But of course, it doesn't matter. Like you're married together. So in some way, shape, or form, you are a resource to the other. It just kind of is what it is. But I always think it's interesting, and I'd like to see, you know, couples who are in entrepreneurship together, because it's always interesting kind of what kind of personality traits happen, especially when you have two entrepreneurs who, if they're both visionaries, whoa, that's a lot of fun, which is like my situation with me and my husband. But you working through the whole personality, who can play to their strength, who can do this, who can do that. And a lot of times, I don't know how you feel, but a lot of times I think, you know, it expands beyond the business. It's like, all right, who's good at making sure the doctor appointments happen? Like, not me, but hey, I literally just said this the other day to Derek. She's like, oh my gosh, I was supposed to call the doctor back like 3 weeks ago and I still haven't done it. Like, I just need to stop doing this altogether. Like, you know, figuring out those strengths. So yeah, I totally understand where you're
Get your virtual assistant to make the doctor's appointments. I had to just do that.
And you know what? I don't know why I haven't started doing that at all. Like, she doesn't touch any of my personal related things at all. It's all business related. So thank you for the tip. See, this is why I'm going to make a quick note for the audience. This is why it is very important to surround yourself with people who have been on the journey, who have traveled the journey, who are like, hey, think differently, open your mind, that type of thing. And I want to pause very seriously, because I think, Monica, there are a lot of people who listen to the show who either I've got my side hustle going, and I need to push further, or, maybe they've already been on the entrepreneurial journey, but more than likely the side hustle's going. And haven't yet really figured out how to surround themselves with people who were like, oh, they've been where I want to go. Like, they've been there. Like, that's just so important. Like, have you found that to be important on your own journey?
Oh, that is so important. I mean, just like-minded, but also different. Like you said, someone who can open up your mind, open your thoughts. My husband joined an organization several years ago, and interesting enough, he found out about this organization at a kid's birthday party, like a first 1-year-old birthday. But he joined an entrepreneurs organization, and he started out in the accelerator program. And that was for businesses that made, I think, $250,000 a year, but wanted to grow to $1 million. So we were on that journey. We're like, oh yeah, we want to get there. And so he would go to these classes and come back and tell me all about them. And finally he was like, you should go. And so with that, he and I both met just wonderful people who opened up our minds, would, talk to you about your business. And then they would come up with just some random statement. You never know what you're going to gain from one conversation from someone. And it just opens up your world. I can remember talking to one gentleman just at a social, and he mentioned another company. He was like, oh, this sounds similar to what you guys do, but it's a little bit different. And so when he told me about it, I went exploring. I got on their website. I went to visit a location. I was like, wow, this is really neat. And it just opened up our mind to a whole nother opportunity for creating custom clothing. So it's always good to have people who surround you, and you can always stay head down, right? You can work, but you have to look up. You have to look up, you have to look around, and you have to meet other people. And it's so important. And you want to surround yourself with positivity, because there's always the negative, but you have the positive. My husband and I, when we both ended up quitting our jobs, I remember his parents were like, what are you guys gonna do? You can't, us, I mean, they're so sweet, but they were still a little bit concerned because we both left our jobs. But you have to have that go-getter and just positive people around you who are like, you can do this,
Yep. That is so critical.
I was just gonna say, you're gonna have the people, like you said, who's gonna say, get the education, get a good job. I heard that my entire life growing up, but I knew I wanted to own my own business someday. From like 4th grade on, I was like, I knew I wanted to do that. So it's just a matter of getting there.
Yeah, push it till you get it. That's what I say. So tell me, Monica, what is the proudest moment? Like the moment that has just made you smile or just so joyous on this entire journey?
Proudest moment. Oh. I think one thing that really stands out to me is we were in New York City in the subway, and I looked over and I saw a group of people, and I saw a girl with her sorority jacket on, and I knew it was ours. I knew it. I could just tell our style is different. And I walked over to her and I was like, did you get that jacket from stuffforgreeks.com? And she was like, yes, how did you know that? And I said, I could just tell. I said, I actually work there. A lot of times I don't really put out that I own the company. So I said, I work there. And she got so excited. She broke out her black card, because we had these black cards that we would give to like VIP customers. She had it in her wallet. I mean, she was just so excited about the fact that she was meeting someone from Stuff for Greeks. And that was just so moving, to someone hundreds of miles away that I had touched. And to me, that's what makes this business so much fun, because when you go somewhere and you see someone wearing something that you created and they love it so much and it's such a vital part of their life, that's exciting to me. That makes me so proud. It makes me proud of my team because they take pride in the work that they create. And so that makes me proud.
I love that. That's like it's seeing your impact on the
Mhm.
world. Like just, wow, right in front of your eyes. I think that's one of the things, and I'm huge on like getting outside of the walls of a 9 to 5 so that you can expand your impact. And I think what you just said, like in your example, is prime example of like, you decided that we have something to offer that's valuable to the world and we can touch anybody anywhere, right? They could have been somewhere, right, international, and been wearing the jacket. And they probably are, right, and been wearing the jacket. Like, I love that, just expanse of impact.
Yes,
That's got to be super meaningful.
it is. It is. Sometimes though, I think to myself, gosh, it's cool to have like nonprofits too. That's one of my things that I'm interested in at some point down the road. But when you at least are making a decent living, you can give back, and so that's our right there for now. But it's nice. It's nice to know that you're touching people. And we do. We ship internationally. We ship a lot to FPOs and APOs, which are our military. Um, and because they have fraternities and sororities too. So, it's wonderful to know that we're giving them some joy when they open the box. They're away from their families, but they're doing things to celebrate their organizations when they're away from home. So
I
it's
love
nice.
it. I love it. So tell me, thinking about the entrepreneurial journey, for the person who's listening that is, still in their side hustle, well, they have their side hustle, they're still in their 9 to 5. What are your top 3 tips just to keep moving along the journey? What would you say?
Well, I would definitely say, press forward, keep going. And, you want market validation. I was a business major, so my brain always goes to marketing and branding. And you want market validation. For sure, you can come up with ideas. You have to execute on those ideas because we all have hundreds of ideas a day. But executing on those ideas, making it happen, pushing forward, getting that market validation. I get a lot of people who come into our store here and they're starting clothing lines or they're doing something different and unique. And one of the things I always tell them is, don't necessarily put a ton of money into it initially. Get a few pieces made, see what feedback you get, because you need market validation. It's one thing for someone to cheer you on and say, oh yes, you can do this, family members, that's great. But are they buying your product? Are other people buying your product, buying your service? You have to have that market validation. Once you have market validation, then you go from there and you say, okay, what's my plan? I'm a planner, like I said before. My husband's more the risk taker. But having a plan, like this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to save money here. I'm going to put 10%. Oh, and that's whatever you make in your business, save 10%. You have to reserve, just create your own reserve account from the beginning. We did that our first year or 2 in business, and then we kind of fell off from that. But when I tell you having that backup income or having that money just set aside that you're not touching, so important. So as you're getting that market validation, save your 10%. You're saving. Save more if you can, especially while you have that full-time job. Save more. Save as much as you can. And then you want to plan your exit. You want to say, okay, my goal is to be gone by this date, and I'm going to have this much saved because I know this can get me through 3-6 months if I don't make another penny. So, just planning those steps. It can be frustrating, and you have to know that you're going to have to tough it out for that 3 or 6 months because it's not going to be easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. That's what I always say. Everyone would be on that same journey. And so you just have to press forward, get that market validation. And when you do get out there, or as you are building your business, Some tips I like to give people: keep your branding simple. Don't try to over communicate what you do in a logo. You can, people, they look at you for 2 seconds. So you want to keep it simple. The other thing is you do want to begin to brand yourself. So if you have a clothing line, put your brand in it. If you have a service, you want your stuff on your business cards, on your shirts, on whatever you're doing, you want to begin to brand yourself. And then stick with your core competency. That is one of the biggest things that I've learned in this business, because you can chase every squirrel, but and so it just doesn't work. You cannot be everything to everybody. So you have to determine, what is my core competency? I'm going to stick with this. And that doesn't mean you don't pivot. That doesn't mean you don't step outside your comfort zone. That's not what that means. But what it simply means is that you cannot do it all. You only have 24 hours in a day. You have to eat during that. You have to sleep during that. You have to just have a mental break during that. So give yourself that little bit of information, like, okay, I'm gonna stick with what I know my core is. And if you venture out and try new things and they work, then that's great. But you really want to focus on those things.
I think that's, I think everything that you just said is gold. And I just want to pick up on something really keen, just for the audience, especially those listening. When you talked about market validation, that one in particular, I think, is one that trips a lot of people up. Because, right, it's I have this idea, like, it is fantastic. Never, never been done before, completely unique, like completely this, completely that. Everyone's gonna pay me for it. Let me go out and just do this whole thing. And you can have that and it could work, but to your point, validate, test, learn, test, learn. Testing is your friend. In fact, it's at least in my belief, because I'm a big agile and lean startup type gal, testing and learning is one of those things where, like, don't worry about success. If you can constantly test, right, and test quickly to see what's going to work and what's not. So I love that you brought that up, because I think that is so key, that married with your belief and a little focus as well.
Well,
I love it.
When Ethan and I started our first business, we literally, it started as a class project for him. And we were just kind of like, oh, we should do this. And we just put a website out there just to see what would happen. And people, lo and behold, people actually clicked on it and like bought something. And we're like, okay. When the first person clicked on our website, we didn't even know how to make the stuff. We had to figure that. It was like, once someone bought it, we were like, okay, what? So it's just so important to have that buy-in. And like you said, testing and the learning piece of it, because we did not get it right out of the gate. We still tweak things constantly. Okay, wait, that did not work well. What can make that better? How can we do that better next time? Always. And that never stops in your business. That testing and learning never stops. You're going to do that from day one to the day you sell or die or whatever it is, whatever day you exit your business, you're going to be doing that. So
yes, I love it. Embrace it. Might as well.
Embrace it. Give it a big.
Exactly. So Monica, I am so happy that you could just join me in this conversation today. I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show here. Now tell people, if they're interested in, getting with some of the stuff that you guys offer, getting things designed and all the wonderful things that you all do, how can they get in touch?
The best way to reach out to me is on Instagram. You can go to @StitchedForSuccess. That's our handle, Stitched for Success, @StitchedForSuccess. That's how you can reach me. Of course, our biggest business is Zeus's Closet. So you can visit Zeus'sCloset.com, where you can get your custom gear, whether it's for your birthday or for your fraternity, sorority, your parents' anniversary, your business, whatever you need. We do everything from wearables to promotional products. So we're there as well. So you can definitely reach me.
Awesome. And make sure you check out her podcast, which is also Stitched for Success.
Yes, that would be great. Thank
you. So make sure you check it out and take a listen. Monica, thank you so much for joining. Like, I'm so happy that you were able. It's early for us, y'all. It's early right now.
It is my pleasure. I have enjoyed the conversation. I can talk about business all day long. So
I love it. Well, if you're listening or you're watching, I hope you have been taking some notes. And if you haven't, go ahead and re-listen to this episode. You will want to. And don't just hold on to it. Like I always say, take these things and take some action. So I hope you have a great day, a great evening, whenever you're listening. And I'll talk to you again very, very soon.